Dmitry Balakin. In early July of 1952, just days before the Soviet Union's first-ever appearance at the Olympic Games in Helsinki, 20-year-old decathlete Dmitry Balakin was going through an intense training session at the Soviet pre-Olympic camp in Lithuania. The USSR saw these games as a chance to establish itself on the world stage, and athletes were pushed to extreme physical limits. During a high-speed sprint drill on a rain-soaked track, Balakin slipped and fell headfirst, suffering a severe skull fracture. He was rushed to a local hospital, but the injuries were too catastrophic, and he passed away shortly after the accident, and his death cast a shadow over the Soviet delegation's debut. Francisco Paquito Montilla. On August 14, 1932, during the final days of the Los Angeles Games, 17-year-old Filipino swimmer Francisco Paquito Montilla suddenly collapsed beside the pool while preparing for the men's 1,500-meter freestyle, considered one of the Philippines' most promising young athletes. Montilla had just finished warm-ups when he fell unconscious, prompting immediate attempts at resuscitation from teammates and Olympic medical staff. Despite their efforts, he never regained consciousness and was pronounced dead shortly after, with contemporary reports attributing the tragedy to an undetected heart condition. Nodar Kumaritashvili. On February 12, 2010, during a final training run just hours before the Vancouver Olympics opened, 21-year-old Georgian luger Nodar Kumaritashvili began his descent on the Whistler Sliding Center track. As he built up to nearly 143 kilometers per hour, he navigated the early sections cleanly. But approaching the notoriously difficult turn 15, his sled drifted too high along the banking, sending him off his ideal racing line. Unable to recover at such extreme speed, he struck the wall on exit, was violently thrown from his sled, and was propelled across the track into an unguarded steel support pole, suffering fatal injuries on impact. Emergency crews responded instantly, but the injuries were unsurvivable, and Kumaritashvili was pronounced dead shortly afterward. His death, occurring just 6 hours before the opening ceremony, led to question about the designing of the track. Elena Mukhina. Elena Mukhina, a Soviet gymnast and former world champion, suffered a catastrophic spinal injury during a training session prior to the 1980 Moscow Olympic. She was attempting the Thomas Salto, a highly complex tumbling maneuver involving a forward somersault with a half twist, when she failed to achieve sufficient rotational momentum. As a result, she under-rotated and landed directly on her chin, producing severe compressive forces on the cervical spine. The impact caused significant spinal cord damage, resulting in permanent quadriplegia. Reports indicated that the skill carried substantial risk and was being practiced under competitive pressure despite incomplete physical readiness. Dan Jansen. American speed skater Dan Jansen experienced falls in both the 500-meter and 1,000-meter events at the 1988 Winter Olympics in Calgary. In each instance, the falls occurred during high-speed turns, where maintaining precise edge control on the skate blade is essential for stability. A minor loss of contact between the blade and the ice surface can rapidly lead to destabilization. Jansen lost balance while navigating the curves, resulting in falls that prevented completion of both races. Contributing factors included ice surface conditions, temperature control, and the amplification of speed during cornering. Although no major injury was sustained, both events resulted in disqualification due to failure to finish. Vladimir Smirnov. Although occurring at the World Championships rather than the Olympic Games, the death of Vladimir Smirnov remains one of the most severe accidents in an Olympic sport. During a fencing bout, his opponent's blade broke upon impact and penetrated through the safety equipment, including the mask, entering through the eye area and causing fatal injuries. The incident exposed critical vulnerabilities in protective gear design and material resistance. Following this event, governing bodies introduced reinforced Kevlar-based equipment standards, redesigned masks, and stricter weapon testing protocols. The case significantly influenced safety regulations applied in Olympic fencing competitions thereafter. Louganis. Greg Louganis struck his head on the diving board during a preliminary round at the 1988 Seoul Olympics. The incident occurred due to a miscalculation in rotational distance during a reverse somersault dive, causing his trajectory to bring him into contact with the board. The impact resulted in a head injury requiring immediate medical attention, including suturing. Diving at the Olympic level involves precise control of angular momentum and spatial awareness, with minimal clearance between the athlete and the board. The incident is frequently analyzed in technical discussions of dive execution and risk management in aerial sports. Nicolas Bochatay. Nicolas Bochatay was participating in speed skiing training during the 1992 Winter Olympics in Albertville, where athletes descend straight courses at extremely high velocities, often exceeding 200 kilometers per hour. After completing a timed run, he entered the deceleration zone, which is designed to gradually reduce speed over distance. During this phase, he encountered a snow grooming vehicle positioned near or partially within the run-out area. Due to the excessive speed and limited stopping distance inherent to the discipline, he was unable to alter trajectory or decelerate sufficiently. He collided directly with the vehicle at high speed. The collision occurred shortly after the timing section, during the transition from competition speed to controlled deceleration. Knud Enemark Jansen. During the team time trial cycling event at the 1960 Rome Olympics, Knud Enemark Jansen was riding in high-temperature conditions on an exposed road course. As the race progressed, he showed signs of physical instability. While maintaining forward speed, he began to lose control of the bicycle, swerving before collapsing from the saddle. Upon falling, he struck the pavement and sustained severe head trauma. The collapse occurred during active motion at racing speed, and the impact with the road surface followed immediately. The sequence involved a combination of speed, loss of balance, and direct contact with a hard surface. Francisco Lazaro. During the marathon event at the 1912 Stockholm Olympics, Francisco Lazaro ran under sustained high-temperature conditions over an extended distance. As the race progressed, his body accumulated heat without effective dissipation, partly due to substances applied to the skin that interfered with sweating. While maintaining forward motion, he began to show signs of instability, including reduced coordination and irregular pacing. He eventually collapsed along the course while still in active movement. The sequence involved progressive physiological failure during prolonged exertion rather than a single immediate incident, with the collapse occurring after sustained thermal and cardiovascular strain. If you enjoy such videos or have an idea for one, subscribe and join my Discord.